There's an accident on the Enterprise, and Captain Kirk is on trial for murder. Court-martial next.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Eat the Q, There's Edge of Forever Bar and Grill. I'm Chip Cosell.
And John Whitney.
And the bar is open. Welcome aboard. What are we going to talk about today, John?
I don't know, it's been a minute since we've recorded. Had some holidays going on. Did we record in January? I think we did.
I don't know, maybe.
At the beginning of,
Maybe
kind
the
of like
beginning
the
of
first
January.
week of January, yeah.
Yeah, this is long overdue.
Yeah, we've been busy.
Us getting
I know
together.
you've had some issues with your eyeball, so
Yeah.
So you've been taking care of that stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's fine.
So if I look funny, it's because I had the LASIK and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Eye doctor stuff.
Getting that 20/20 vision back.
Yeah, and it feels good. Feels good.
So yeah. Do you want to know what we're drinking?
Yeah, what are we drinking today?
I
Talk
can't
about
remember.
It. It's I think it's the
It's Old Forester.
Old Forester, a very drinkable whiskey. That's like my go-to.
Yes.
If I just want an everyday drink, the Old Forester is really good for that.
Old Forester, 86 proof.
Yeah. I happen to not have any Old Forester at my own house right now because my wife got me a huge bottle of Buffalo Trace. So yeah, it's like giant. It's like a big jug of it. She went to Detroit to get it. It's crazy.
I've been able to find Buffalo Trace on the shelf quite a bit actually lately.
Good. So there you go. So it's
But this
very
is a brown foreign product, 86 proof, costs about $22, and it's very drinkable.
Yeah, it is. I like it. Should we take a sip first?
Sure, let's do it.
Let's do it. Cheers. Here
To
we
the
go.
new year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
For murder.
Yeah, see, it goes down nice and smooth.
And there goes our plays right now. It's falling off people's playlists and stuff because we can't.
Because we just drank?
Yeah. All we need is a smoke and we'll be fine.
Yeah, get cigars next time.
Okay, let's get started.
Yeah,
It's
that's
called Court Martial.
You know, we always watch the remastered version. So it comes up as the Enterprise is in orbit and Kirk is giving exposition, log entry about hitting an ion storm. And they have these great new shots of the Enterprise over orbit, another ship in the background. And
You can kind of see the ship kind of like all dingy and stuff, like it's been through something.
Yeah.
Ion storm is what a captain log says. And you can actually, is it in that shot where you can see the blown hole in the side of the ship?
That's right. It kind of like you get to see the hull, and there's like a little area, a portal or something that's kind of blown out and has some red in it. And so you see, now we get to see, well, this is what they're talking about, like all the damage, you know.
And then we go to an office down on the planet.
Right. Just before that, we get an establishing shot of the city. It's a new cityscape. They like revamped the buildings.
There's people inside the building.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jim is reading. He's like going over his statement, and it's on paper.
Right.
You know,
It is on paper.
Yeah, it's crazy. And he's like, "Oh, you read that 1,000 times, Jim."
Yeah, just
you know?
last episode we said that they don't use paper.
They,
Now
yeah,
they do.
and so you know we were wrong. I think really this has got to be the only episode they use paper so much. I mean, the lawyer's off has tons of books there, like physical books, and he's going through papers.
We'll get to that. So he hands him his deposition, and you know what does he say? He says,
And then so he's like, where's Spock? So he's like calls the ship, and Uhura's like, he should have been down 10 minutes ago. And then Spock beams in on a two-pad
there's a
transporter.
two-pad transporter there, isn't there? That's weird. You don't.
They
see
use
it
that
often.
set again, They use
think
it
they
for
do.
Trouble with Tribbles.
Oh, that's right.
You know.
That's right.
But so he beams down. Spock seems hesitant, but he tries to hand over the log to Kirk, and Commodore grabs it. And
but doesn't Jamie walk
Jamie
in first?
comes in, Jamie.
No, Jamie comes in after the Commodore takes the card.
Right.
What's your note on her?
I said Jamie comes in and overacts.
I had to see you one last time. You murdered my father. You murdered him.
Yeah.
We don't mean to make fun of her.
Yeah.
It's just, sometimes it's fun to kind of watch people overact just like this a little bit.
It's totally overacting. It's
She's
crazy.
upset. So Commodore says, "Hey, can you escort Jamie out of here?" And Spock's like, "Can you come with me, please?"
Yeah.
And so it leaves him alone, right?
I think it's kind of ironic that he has Spock, an unemotional person, to be empathetic towards this, chick who's having a meltdown.
And when she was yelling at him, he actually did look at her like going, "Oh man, she's really upset."
Yeah.
You know. They leave, and then the Commodore has the card, and he's looking at the card.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Hey, was there a red alert before you pushed the button, the eject button?" He goes,
Right.
"Yes, of course." He goes, "Well, according to the computer, that's not true. You did it during yellow alert. So either you perjured yourself, or you're trying to cover something up."
Or willfully want to just give false testimony or something like that.
Yeah.
He's like what? And so they cut to commercial. Opening credits.
Right.
Yeah, and then cuts back to, and our friends in the special effects department have a nice close-up of the nacelle, and the NCC is all worn out because of the storm. We get to see more battle damage.
And the hole is definitely apparent there.
Oh,
You see
yeah,
the hole.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So that Kirk and McCoy walk into this bar.
It sounds like the beginning of a joke.
You know,
Kirk and McCoy walk into a bar.
and he just kind of walks in. He's like, "Oh, what's going on, Bobby?" Or whatever
Yeah.
his name is.
Yeah.
And nobody really answers them. They're all kind of quiet and cold. He's like, "I see, we're well represented from our class."
Yeah. Everybody from the academy's there. He rattles off some name. And Ben was a friend of ours, It's like, and Kirk's like, and? Go on, no, finish. Ben was a friend of ours, and then there's like all this tension, and finally Kirk is like, I'm out of here. I'll see you. And he goes to leave.
Almost bumps into some dude, and all of a sudden this woman walks in, and she, what's her name?
Ariel.
Ariel's her name?
Yeah. Ariel?
Maybe it's Ariel.
It's either Ariel or Ariel. I think it's Ariel.
Ariel.
Because I remember thinking it sounded like Ariel from,
Right.
And
of course, McCoy,
boom,
makes a beeline to her.
Of course, because she's wearing a very retro a very retro 60s dress.
Yeah.
And, not the 2060s, the 1960s.
Yes.
Like this is
with
very,
the earrings, the very colorful earrings.
Exactly.
And he's like, "Oh, if you thought that was Captain James T. Kirk, then you're right. He's a friend of mine." He was basically, he's trying to drop Kirk's name to try to get some.
That's right. He's like smooth talker, smooth player.
That's right.
And she's like, "Yes, I'm a friend of his too." And it's like, "Oh, well, all my old friends look like doctors. All his look like you."
Yeah, he's going through something right now. Well, what do you say we get a drink?
Yeah, and then they go to get a drink, and I thought this was really, not funny, but they just walk right into the camera.
Yeah, almost you see the
and
shadow
they
of the
step
camera.
out of the light that they're in, and they
you
walk
see
right
the
into the
shadow.
camera, and it cuts. You know what I mean? Like it's a.
I wonder if they bumped into it in a
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of like an interesting choice of direction or not choreography. What's the word I'm looking
Blocking.
for? Blocking. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, blocking. So now we come to the Commodore's office again.
Yeah, back to the Commodore.
Yeah, and they're he's got the computer, and he's basically questioning Kirk.
Yeah, exactly. And he's talking about the history of his friendship with Ben Finney. Yeah.
Talked about what happened when you were cadets or whatever.
Yeah.
He talks about the incident that basically knocked Finney down a peg because he accidentally left open some kind of a circuit. He noticed it. He reported it. Finney got knocked down.
Yeah.
And
Finney always blamed him. Basically, the Commodore goes off the record, pauses the recording, and just says to him, "Look, Jim, you're worn out. You might have been forgetful. It's understandable. There's nothing that to do what we do is very tough job. Only very few can do it."
Kirk is very what are you talking about?
Yeah. You want to sweep it under the rug? You know?
Because he was basically going to say, "Listen, man, if you don't do anything and you don't admit to anything, I'll make sure you get a desk job, and this will be all over with fast."
Yeah, this will go away with no proper circumstances.
Because he doesn't want to have a captain be on trial for murder, which is never
And
happened.
and Commodore offhandedly says, "No captain's ever been on trial before."
Yeah.
You know what? He goes, "No." He goes, and Kirk's like, "No, I know what I did. No, I did not do it." And he goes, "Then you draw a court-martial." Like, "Yeah, draw one. I demand it."
Yeah, that's right.
And now, it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So they argue intense argument right at the end of the scene, then it cuts to a commercial break.
Yeah. So it goes.
Which is kind of cool. Yeah.
Enough time for her to
Right. I demand it.
cool out a little bit.
Yeah. Then it comes back. And we have new cityscape establishing footage with a nice ringed moon in the background.
Yeah, that's nice.
You know, there's some sort of juxtaposition where they ordered the court to come in, so they're on their way. The people that are going to be in the court,
so
they're on their way. So there's time to kill. So he walks into the bar. You know,
Well, he's meeting his old
he's
friend.
meeting Ariel. Yeah.
Yeah, which and then he sits down.
Yeah, he walks up to her,
holds her
Ariel.
hand.
Yeah, McCoy said you were here. I
Yeah.
should have known. The electricity would be in the air.
And he takes her hand, and so which brings the question: did they bang? Did they bang? I think so. I think they banged a lot, dude.
Yeah, they obviously had an intense relationship the way they're looking at each other. So it was an intense relationship they had.
Yeah, so they're talking, and he's all like, "Oh, you're so beautiful," blah blah blah, and all this stuff. He's like, "Hey, you're taking this awful lightly.
Yeah,
You should be worried about what's going on here." He goes, "Why?" And then she just goes into this thing about, well, the prosecution's going to say it's going to be Kirk versus the computer, and he's like going, "Huh? Well, you know any good lawyers? Maybe you could help me out. I'm busy."
Yeah, she says I'm busy.
Yeah. And so she does have a suggestion for a lawyer, right?
Yeah, this old country lawyer kind of guy, Cogley, something Cogley.
Yeah,
Samuel T. Conley. Yeah, Conley or Cogley?
Cogley, I think.
Yeah, Cogley.
Cogley.
Cogley, probably Cogley. Who knows?
And he's like, "Oh, you never told me why you're busy. I mean, a girl as smart as you could probably do two things at one time."
Yeah, exactly.
I witnessed it. Maybe I'll cut that out.
No, don't. It's hilarious.
But maybe you. Why are you busy?
How do you know so much about what the prosecution's going to do? And she's like, "Oh because my dear old love, I am the prosecution."
And he's like going,
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. So there's no conflict of interest here anymore.
yeah, sitting there, being seen in the bar before the trial, holding the hand of the defendant.
Yeah,
doesn't look bad at all.
having a couple of futuristic drinks.
Yeah.
Nobody's.
Nobody's gonna question that.
Yeah. Her drink is this foo-foo thing, by the way. It's huge. Has celery sticking out of it. Has a umbrella, and he just gets this little thing. This little thing, and kind of.
See, that's different from the new Star Treks because the women in the new Star Trek, they just drink hard. Bro.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, but after she said that because I'm the didn't she? To me, I went, damn. I almost said it out loud. Damn. Man, that's crazy. Anyway, it cuts to Jim's quarters. He comes in, and you pointed this out. I didn't notice it. Maybe I was looking away the first time I re-saw it. Whatever. But he walks into his quarters that he's staying at.
Yeah.
And he grabs the bottle of Sorium brandy, right? He pops that thing
the brandy
open.
bottle, which is like
the one with the horn on it.
I think it's a horn-shaped Jim Beam. I can't remember.
George Dickel.
George Dickel.
Yeah.
And
he's about to pour, and he notices and this guy is in his spread out all these books and everything, all the very old-fashioned books.
Yeah, the lawyer.
The lawyer, Cogley guy. Yeah.
And he's like, "What's up with all these books?" And he's like, "Oh, what, you don't like books?
What's the matter with you, son? I don't like books."
I like them fine, but a computer, is much more tidy or whatever.
Yeah, and then he rags on the computer. He walks over to the very Apple IIe looking esque computer with no monitor and flips the switch. Says it has all the history and all the knowledge of every law decision ever made in the history of ever. And he's like, "But never use it. I like books. I got my own system."
Yeah, I can't get the true meaning of things, like Moses and Copernicus of Jordan, blah, blah, whatever he says, some alien thing.
This is the first time we see a really good look at what I call the list, the trope of making a list of things in Star Trek, like fictionalized, futuristic things come only after you establish set things, like real things in real life. This is the first hint of it, and then he talks about it later. Too. He makes a list of, but he says, From Moses to the Tribunal of Alpha 3. Yes. Yeah, and they always like have a thing where they throw in a science fiction-y thing at the last 2 or 3 to kind of give it
again
weight.
later too.
Yeah, they do it again later. We'll talk about it then, I guess.
So he's basically either you're off your rocker and got away from your keeper, or you're lawyer, what
Samuel T. Cogley. Yeah, both. Yeah, so they
I hear you need a lawyer. Well, I guess I do.
Yeah, and that cuts to the next scene, which is the interior of the court. A nice close-up of this bell that rings, ding, 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 and the camera pulls out to reveal the court. Right. That bell is actually a prop that they used later in Star Trek: The Next Generation for one of the court episodes. So that's kind of a good, nice trivia.
That's cool. Well, Roddenberry probably had it,
Sure, on his desk maybe, I would think, something like that. We don't know for sure. Commodore starts talking about here, we he says this court is in session. He starts talking about Space Commander Rep Lindstrom, and that Lindstrom name sounds familiar. Maybe it just sounds like Daystrom or maybe it sounds a lot, but Lindstrom sounds familiar, like it's been used before. I'm not sure.
Maybe Lindstrom, maybe it has, I don't know.
But it sounds a lot like Daystrom. If you guys know, say it right away, but when we come across it next, coming up in the future, we'll see. Then Starship Captain Kargnowski and Chandra. He kind of just lists the 3 people that are going to be on the court. And
then he asks him, "Are you cool with these guys?" And he's like, "No issues with these guys." And then says, "Are you okay with the prosecutor? Is she okay too? Do you have any issues with her?" And he goes, "No, I do not." So they get going.
Yeah. And he says, "Okay, how do you plead?" And he goes, "Not guilty."
Da 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 da.
It's always that dramatic
heavy music right there, And so the prosecution's up first, and she calls up the first witness, Mr. Spock.
That's right. Yeah, and he puts his hand on the glowy thing. I call it the futuristic lie detector, or their new Holy Bible or something. But he puts it on that thing, and it's been used before. They use it again later in the series as well. That prop.
Right.
So he starts talking about she's asking him questions about the computer.
You know about computers? Yeah, I know something about them. Yeah, and basically ask if it was possible for the computer to be wrong or something like that. Wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. And he said no. Something like no. However, it is wrong.
It is wrong. And she goes, "Why? How do you know? Why do you say it's wrong?" And he just basically he's a character witness for Kirk at that point.
Yeah, exactly. He just says, "Because I know Captain Kirk."
And she goes through this whole hypothetical thing about he says, is this. We can't deal in hypotheticals or something like that, right?
He says, "I know not. I don't have to see a hammer fall when I drop a hammer.
Right.
I can drop the hammer and look away, and I know that the nature of the hammer is that it will fall with on a planet's surface that has positive gravity. So much so that I know that Captain Kirk is incapable of making that type of decision."
And she's like, "This is your opinion."
And he's like thinking, and like he knows he's trapped. He says, "Well, logically, it is his opinion." So he says, "Yes, in my opinion."
Yeah, because he can't lie, right?
Yeah. Then they call the personnel officer, I think, which is one of your favorite character actors.
It's one of my favorites.
An Asian woman.
She comes up there and she's like the personnel officer.
Yeah, she's HR basically. Is what I gathered.
Early thing that happened.
As a personnel officer, you have access to all the personnel's records and files.
And she's got 2 lines, and she really nails one of the lines.
Yeah.
"Yes, ma'am." And then she asks another question. She's like, "Yes, ma'am." And then Kirk is like looking back at Jamie, like, what the hell, Jamie's like basically staring daggers at the back of his head.
Yeah.
And he noticed it, and you hear the girl say, "Yes, ma'am," again after the other question. And is that ensign here in the courtroom now? What was his name? He's like, "Ensign James T. Kirk."
Yeah. And then she's like, "Is it now the Captain James T. Kirk who's gonna?"
"Yes, ma'am."
Yes. They kind of just they probably just used the loop. I don't know.
It sounded exactly the same every
weird.
time.
Yeah.
Actually, she did vary it a little bit, especially when.
And she gets up and she's kind of like, maybe HD you can see it, but she kind of has a thing where she looks at Captain Kirk like she's sorry.
Yeah, she's.
I thought, what I mean?
Oh yeah,
like,
she definitely says, "I'm sorry."
Oh man, that sucks.
And then, "I'm sorry."
Then they call Doc McCoy. Yeah.
Dr. McCoy. Yeah. And she's like, "So, do you know about psychology and especially space psychology?"
Space psychology.
He's like, "I know something about it."
Yeah, he's like cool as a cucumber. Leonard McCoy
McCoy,
Leonard. No, I'm trying to think of his real name. What's his real name?
Leonard McCoy.
No, his
Oh,
the actor.
DeForest Kelley.
DeForest Kelley. DeForest Kelley really lays in the acting chops, making him smooth as a cucumber in this scene, just answering the questions,
And she goes into this line of questioning: is it possible that he could be if he knows that somebody hates him, Kirk? We're talking about Kirk.
Yeah.
If somebody hates him, that he would reciprocate with hate.
Yeah, and he's like, nah, it's not possible with Kirk. But and then she's like, oh, hypothetically. The hypothetical answer is, yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
And then the Commodore finally steps in, and he's like, Commodore, you have had 3 witnesses come up. You have not asked them one single question. Do you waive your right to cross-examine?
Yeah. He's like, well, all this stuff that's going on now, I want to go for the real stuff. I want to bring Captain Kirk up to the stand.
Yeah, so he calls Kirk up.
Yeah. And so they basically, it's really funny. They actually put in the car and they start going over all the accommodations.
Yeah.
And then the lawyer, what's her name, just goes, if it pleases the court, do we need to hear all this crap?
He's like, well, no, if I don't want to slow the wheels of justice or anything. Sure. And then she's like about to sit down and he goes, but I don't want them to roll over my client and crush him. So they play a little couple more. He goes, okay, that's enough. We don't want to slow it down too much now.
Yeah, that kind of pissed her off. I think he was grinding her gears a little bit.
Yeah, and then so Kirk gives the testimony of what happened. He went over basically everything we said before, but he said he gave him time and then some. He would, he never would. He goes, he's at a loss to explain why the log says what it says, but he's like just basically nails it exactly what happened. We've heard it before. He's like, there's nothing more important to me than my ship.
Yeah, so after he kind of tells his story of what happened, and
he's done questioning him, so she has to cross-examine him.
Right.
So she cross-examines him and says, well, I'd like to submit, if it pleases the court, the computer log.
So she starts this recording.
Yeah, play the computer log, and it's a high-angle, wide shot, looking down at like a security camera footage of the bridge and everything,
And they kind of go through all the things about what's going on, and he says,
they're like, hey,
they call him on the duty roster.
Yeah, we're coming up on the ion storm. He goes, we'll get someone in the pod. Who's next on the duty roster? And Spock goes, Finney. Put him in, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Kirk's like, put him in. So they call him. Uhura calls him in to duty on the pod.
He's like, yes, sir.
Yeah. He's like, yes, sir. He gets in the pod. Yeah, that weird voice.
So it gets in more.
It starts getting, exactly. They're getting jostled around. He signals for a yellow alert.
Right, and she stops and she goes, play that back, run it back, but give me an isolation on just the hand.
Yeah.
And of course it goes from a different angle.
Yeah.
Some weird angle so you could read everything on it. And he pushes the yellow alert. And she goes, oh, let's see here, he just pushed the yellow alert. So it continues on. Yeah. And to a different angle, right?
Yeah, it goes continue on same angle or something like that. Normal view. Yeah. And it cuts to now the camera's down and placed nicely, looking at how we're looking at you right now, and you're looking at us.
Yeah.
And
it's pretty much this angle.
And it's getting shook up. There's a guy wants him to sign something. He's like, get out of here with that, man. We're in come on, let's go. We're in a situation here. So it's getting more rough. He goes, hey, Finney, hurry up with that pod, man.
Get ready to get out of there.
Yeah, you get ready to get out of there because we're about to go to red alert kind of thing. It's like it's getting choppy out there.
He kind of reaches his hand down and pushes the button.
Yeah.
Then they do a close-up.
They do a close-up of it. Yeah.
And it's like yellow alert, red alert, eject pod.
Yeah.
So my question is, why the hell would the captain, and not engineering being taken care of ejecting a pod, why is it right there? Maybe you could accidentally hit that eject pod.
Yeah, because he's always working on that panel throughout the whole series. He's doing something with it.
I know. Can you put different things on there?
Yeah. For story purposes, they've just created this little stupid thing.
Yeah.
Plus, there's no way to get all these angles. I don't know.
I know sometimes you guys don't like it when we complain about illogical things in the script and little things like that we know they put there so the story could could be moved along.
And I wonder if they've had the creators had conversations like this though.
I bet the writers' room was sitting there going, "What the hell, man?
Yeah.
A big button that says eject pod."
Yeah.
Jesus
All right,
Christ. We can
call
do
the-
better than this.
Yeah, call the prop department. It's crazy.
So basically,
Basically, she's like, "Oh, here, see, he pushed the button. He ejected the pod before the emergency existed." And then there's a crescendo of music. It closes in on Kirk, and he just like whispers, "But that's not the way it happened."
right. Then we go to commercial.
Yeah. It was a
Then we come back, and we are in what? It's Captain's Log, right?
Yeah, there's a little bit of like there's the establishing shot, and it goes into the quarters that he's staying on the starbase. And Kirk is not logging about how I think my lawyer is even beginning to think I did it. That he doesn't have a chance now, kind of thing.
Yeah. So the lawyer is basically saying maybe we could change our plea because maybe you were a little tired. We could basically
get
argue
you off. Yeah.
that we get you off a lesser sentence.
Yeah.
And he starts like going, but I've been training for this for years, and he starts having self-doubt.
Yeah.
And he
doubting
goes,
himself.
Nope, that's not how it happened. So he doesn't want to do a plea deal. He wants to see it through all the way.
That's right. And so he's like, okay, but then Spock calls down and says, hey, I did the megalites scanning of the computer. He goes, well, let me tell you what you found. Nothing. And he's like, you sound bitter, Captain. And he's like, well, maybe your next captain will be able to beat you at chess.
Yeah, and they hang up, and Spock, there's a little dolly in the Spock with his eyeballs going up, and it's like, chess. And he gets up and leaves.
Yeah.
Because he's got an idea.
Yeah.
Spock about to save the day.
Right, but then Jamie comes in begging for Kirk's life. I read all these letters and papers that my dad wrote. Once again, papers are coming up, like all these ancient freaking papers, actual papers and letters. I know, I'm so sorry. Just take a plea. Have him take a test job, Cogley kind of thing. He's like,
I know. He's like, say it's okay. But he's like, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm gonna get dressed. Let's go.
Yeah, are you ready? And he's like, no, but I might be. So he's got some kind of
I don't know
idea.
what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
Because it doesn't fall through. Later on,
yeah, he doesn't follow
something.
through,
No.
right?
Spock is playing chess.
Yeah,
and
in the conference room.
McCoy busts in. He's like, I had to see with my own eyes. I can't believe you're here doing chess.
He goes, yeah, Mr. Spock, you are the most cold-blooded man I've ever known.
Why, thank you, Doctor. And he's like, you come on, we got to go down there. He's like, I just won my fourth game. And
yeah. He's like, but that's impossible.
And he's like,
goes,
watch
no.
this. And he does a couple other moves, and boom, he wins his fifth game.
Boom, it's done. He won.
He's like, what the hell are you doing here now? Let's get down there.
Yeah,
And
so they
down there.
booked down there to demonstrate that the log was tampered with.
Yeah.
That's what the basic thing is. So then it cuts to the courtroom, and the bell rings again, and Spock and McCoy haven't come in yet, but the prosecution rests, and then the defendants.
As soon as it says the prosecution, the defendant rests, busting in. Would you say there was a swinging door?
Yeah, they have a swinging door for not the sliding door. It's a swinging hinged door. It's like one of the first few times it's used, and I've never seen it on any other episode that I can recall because I would remember it.
Unless there was some alien doorway or something.
Yeah. So yeah, boom. A few times we see a swinging door. They rush in, they talk in whispers, and then Cogley's like, "We gotta go. I don't rest," and she's like, "Yeah, you guys rested, And so she's like,
"What's going on, Mr. Cogley?"
Yeah.
I can't tell you, but I can show you. We need to go to the ship.
Yeah, he wants to adjourn on the ship.
But then he has this big soliloquy about
huge.
rights.
And this is the list. This is where the list really comes in. The trope of the list. Here, I got to read it, what I wrote, because I thought it was so cool.
He's like,
is saving an innocent man's career a theatric? Yeah, again with the list. So it comes up, now that we have something human to talk about, the Bible, the Code of Hammurabi, and Justinian, Magna Carta, the Constitution of the United States, the fundamental declarations of Martian colonies, the statutes of
Alpha 3. Something like that. And then Kirk and Spock look at each other and just like, he's saying something good.
Yeah. So they basically, that's that list of like where you start listing things, and then you have the Constitution, then you have to throw in the statutes of Alpha 3.
Yeah, so the basic rights of somebody who has to face their accuser.
And Kirk has not been able to face his accuser, and she's arguing, yes, we had 3 people on. He's like, no, not the most devastating accuser of all. He's not a man. It's a machine.
Don't let us go to their level.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
put them above us as humans.
Yeah.
We must go up there. I demand it. I demand it. Yeah, he's really fired up, man.
Yeah, man, it's cool. So
They agree.
Yeah, they agree. They're like, okay, that's cool. Let's go face this accuser, the computer. So they go up to the Enterprise.
And Spock is explaining to him that he has programmed chess and that he had beaten the computer 5 times.
That's right.
And because he was the one that programmed chess into the computer, that the best he could ever do, assuming that he didn't make any mistakes, was a tie every time.
Right, exactly.
Or it should be stalemate every time.
Stalemate every time. That's right. Exactly right, John. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that holds a lot of weight coming from Spock, Mr.
Yeah.
Brainiac.
So now Kirk wants, the lawyer says, okay, Captain Kirk, what did you do after Finney disappeared? Did you try to look for him? He goes, yes, we did a level 1 search.
Yeah, he explains everything he did after they jettisoned the pod to try and find Finney if a crewman is injured or couldn't respond.
Yeah, and he's like, in a ship this large, do you think that somebody could evade a search like that? I mean, like, assuming they want to be found, of course. And then Kirk is like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it never occurred to him that he didn't want to be found. It presupposes that
Yeah,
a
exactly.
man wants to be found. He goes, gentlemen, I submit that Ben Finney is not dead.
He's alive.
And that's like, da-da-da. So that's kind of cool. Then it cuts to the bridge. Now they're on the bridge.
Yeah, they have to explain they have to basically beam everybody off the ship.
Yeah, and so everybody's gone basically of any import or whatever.
Except for whoever's on the bridge and the 2 crewmen and the transporter.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Kirk explains wrongly that they have the capability to magnify sounds 1 to the 4th power.
Yeah.
Which in math terms is just 1.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm not good at
So
math.
they probably, in the script, it was probably written like 10 to the 4th, which would be like a huge thing or whatever. But 1 to the 4th is nothing. It's just 1.
I believe you.
Thank you. And so, so they're gonna listen for sounds and so they turn on the thing, and it's like all this sounds of beating heartbeats. He goes, gentlemen, that's the sound of everybody's heart on the Enterprise beating. So that's how they deal with
He's
that.
like, turn it down, Spock. Come on, man.
Yeah. So
Be an asshole.
Yeah. So they said. So McCoy has a device that's going to filter out everybody's heartbeat. So he goes around,
microphone.
which is a 1968 microphone that's just unplugged.
He had a little thing he twisted and then like snapped, like it turned off. So he went around, did Kirk first, did Spock, and then
it does everybody.
went
Dissolves.
around. And then finally myself, and he does it.
Yeah.
And
then he goes, Spock, filter out the crew of in the transporter room.
And he does, and then there's 1 heartbeat left, and people really look around, going, and then the Commodore stands up. He's like, oh, very interesting.
And just goes, Spock, where is that? And Spock like localizes it. Said, near or in engineering.
Right.
So there you go.
So Kirk is like going, all right, you guys stay here. This is my problem. And then we cut to the hallway, and there's some exposition, right?
Right. Nice shot of Kirk walking, but it's a time to it's like a captain's log type thing, but it's not really a log. It's more like exposition. So Cogley went down to the surface to get Finney's daughter. To make it.
Is that what it is?
Easy. Yeah, right.
Okay, I forgot about that.
Because Cogley did go down to the surface. He said, "I'll be back in a little while."
Very important. So that was it.
like,
to go grab her.
Yeah.
Although we don't see him.
We
or
never
her
see
again.
him. Yeah, they don't come back though. That's why it's hard to. If you don't catch that dialogue in the exposition, you're screwed.
I missed that part.
And Kirk's like goes into engineering with his phaser, like, Ben, where are you, Ben?
Hello, Captain.
Yeah.
Mr. Captain. Captain. Mr. Calabumba. Captain. Yeah, he just said captain, kind of weird. And then all of a sudden, Finney gets behind him and he sticks a phaser in his gut. In his back and says, don't move, bitch.
Yeah, and they're like, he's like threatening him with a phaser, and then he's like talking about how I could kill you, but I don't want to kill you. You wouldn't care about your own death, but I want to kill your ship. So he's like, I tapped out your whole power.
He's like, what? And he goes to the thing and he collects it. He's like, what's going on with our
orbit?
Orbit. And he's like, decaying, sir. And shit.
Yeah, he's like, all your energy is gone, and now all the admirals and ensigns are all gonna die. He's like crazy. He has like has a scruffy looking 2-day shadow.
I
He's
know
like,
this shit too. This should have been mine, but you messed it up for me.
Yeah, he's all Mr. Conspiracy guy.
Oh, big
this guy's
time.
toe crazy, man.
Oh yeah, he's snapped.
Yeah, it's awesome. Then he goes, does that include your daughter? Because she's on board by now. Cogley went down and got her. What? Like, why did you do that? So Kirk jumps on him, and they get into this scuffle. And I said there'd be a great opportunity to have the new special effects guy have the phaser go off and hit the wall. Would be totally cool. No, but they didn't happen. That's no big deal. You got to stick true to the source. So yeah,
they
get
get
to
a wide
fight.
shot of the stuntman.
Stuntman fighting.
I
Good
always
shots.
love wide shots of the stuntman because they don't quite like. I would imagine on standard definition television in 1968, you could not tell. You couldn't make any detail to see who these guys look like.
The little tiny screens when we watched it.
But in the remaster, because they transferred the original 35 millimeter film to HD. Yeah, it's not Kirk.
Yeah,
it's not the other actor either.
Not at all, man. It's awesome.
So they have a fight, and he basically beats him senseless.
Yeah, he beats the crap out of him.
Yeah, he's knocked out, and he's like, "What did he say?" He's like,
Then there's this dissolve, and he goes, Kirk in that same exposition type log type entry, he's like beaten and sobbing. Finney told me where he sabotaged the prime energy circuits. Yeah, so he's in a Jeffries too.
Yeah, he's like these wires just kind of hanging down. He's like going, "Oh, guess I'll grab one without a glove."
Yeah. He's up in the Jeffries tube pulling out giant Mambo power cables.
You can't blame Finney. He has got some psychological
Yeah,
issues.
Exactly. I don't blame him at all, man.
Yeah, you don't blame him. He's off the deep end. It's all good.
So yeah, then because he's pulling these cables out, they're able to get back up into orbit.
And all this is happening, one point, by the way, where Finney is talking. Everybody can hear him. He's down there fighting with them.
Yes.
And nobody on the bridge saying, "Well, I guess this is over with, guys," right?
Right. In fact, they're like, gentlemen, quickly get to the transporter. We'll get you down. And like the Commodore's like, "Oh, we have not yet finished hearing the testimony of the witness." Like, what do they need to hear?
Yeah, he's not dead.
Alive.
Yeah,
man.
Obviously Kirk didn't do anything.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's so dumb. But so their orbit gets better, and then the Commodore goes up to the other lawyer and says, "Oh, I guess we can just drop the charges." She goes, "Yes, we can."
Yes, yeah.
My pleasure.
The day is saved, basically.
The day is saved, yeah.
Then the things are calmed down. The ship's in orbit, and there's a nice establishing shot of the bridge. Everything's normal, and Kirk is walking Ariel to the turbo lift.
So yeah, there's like this little moment with the lawyer because they totally banged. We know this. Well, no, she says, guess what? Cogley's going to actually be defending Finney. Yeah. He's like, I bet he'll win. Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, yeah, he'll win, all right.
Do you think it would be
mystic?
Yeah. Do you think it would mess up everything on the bridge if a lowly lieutenant kissed a captain of the Enterprise? And he's like going, no.
Yeah, so they go in and they kiss.
They're going for a kiss.
Very innocent looking kiss too.
Yeah, he's like going, look around. Nobody's not doing their job. Everything's fine. No issues. And then she leaves. So she gives him a kiss as she goes down the elevator, and then Kirk goes and sits down between Spock and McCoy, and he's like on like that, right?
Yep. She's quite a good lawyer.
And Spock is like going,
obviously,
and then McCoy is like going, indeed.
And then that's it. There's a few beats, and then it goes to the credits.
And I actually, despite some of the weirdness about some of the writing and some of the logical flaws, I think that's in there. I actually enjoy it. It's a fun episode.
Yeah, it's a great courtroom drama episode.
It is.
Courtroom scene.
It is.
It is really good.
So I like it. I mean, that's it. So the next time you'll hear from us is going to be, the episode would be about, what is it? The Return of the Archons.
Yeah, Return of the Archons.
Which is one of my favorites. I actually love that one. You are not of the body.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that's right.
It's festival. You are not of the body. Yeah. So I guess until next time, right?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that's good. So yeah, until then, the bar's closed. We'll see you then.
See you.